Hey, what's up? We're doing our Thursday subscriber stream here on lichess and Twitch. International Master William Pascal with Pawnda. Subscriber stream with Pawnda. Hey, where is everybody? We only started a couple minutes late. Okay. Welcome everybody. Thanks for subscribing. I'm learning along with you guys to kind of control my instincts about my crazy style. So hopefully a little bit of game analysis. We can really learn something together here. Okay guys, have a good stream. Thanks Pawnda for your wonderful introduction. And you can sit there with the micro Pawnda. Spectacular Camel, what's up? Not just any camel. Actually, I haven't seen Camel Clutcher in a long time. He hasn't been clutching enough camels. So, the camel culture, I mean, it's practically a camel culture with two camels in the stream. With just one, it's not really a camel culture. It's not a culture of camels. Where is everybody? I started 4 minutes late, unfortunately. Very busy myself. Good to see you, Camel. And Asterbait should be here. Should be along shortly. So, subscriber game analysis. I've got a list. Mule Skinner, Big Money, Asterbait, Nefedov, Oms, and Iobatis. Asterbait was... Yeah, he probably took a little break for a minute. I just saw him a minute ago. Okay. So actually Mule Skinner is first in the list today. And that's unusual, but Mule Skinner had submitted his game like far in advance. I guess this game he was particularly proud of. I'm not sure if he's going to be in the stream, so we have two Danish submissions. Two Danishes for today's stream. Spanish Danish and a Danish Danish. So let's grab this Mule Skinner game. Where is it? Man, it's so ancient I can't even find it. Someone you reported was banned. And I can't even find it. It's like a year ago. Actually, I've gone too far back, I think, in my messages. Oh, this will be it. I found it. This will be my game for analysis Thursday if there's time. The game I just played finished 9 out of 51, and I had 2 buys with 0 points. This game was my best game in the tournament. The A-pawn seems to always win for me. Third time in a long time control over the board game. With the A-pawn, apparently. Now it's making me think of this bakery when I was a kid. My parents used to buy these like fruit danishes. Taking me back. Really takes me back. They don't have like danishes really in Hungary. They have lots of cool pastries. It's a very pastry centric country, but not danishes to my knowledge. Lichess. So let's turn this off. Did he say what color he was? My A-pawn. I guess it's got to be white. I mean, it's Spanish. He doesn't play the Spanish against E4. Plays the French. So Mule Skinner has to be white in this game. Alright. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6. I wonder why I don't play E5 against him. I don't play E5 a lot myself. I have a ton of games against Mule Skinner. 198. We're gonna have a celebration. Mule Skinner has 2 more games. He's gonna reach the 200 club. Alright, so Spanish a6, bishop a4, knight f6. So he plays d3. I don't know what you call it. d3. It has a name. Morphy defense Anderson variation. Is d3 the Anderson variation? Do you know move 11? Could ask you. I'm not into the nomenclature of the Roi de Pez as far as d3 is concerned. But nomenclature, good word. Castles, bishop e7, d3 is the Peter Svidler series. I don't see any, I don't know. Black can play bishop c5 instead here. So there's some minor, points to the move order. This allows the open Roi de Pez, which is a major, major thing, but it's kind of out of fashion. That's the downside of castling. The downside of d3, I guess, it enables black to play an improved bishop c5, essentially. And that's the move that has the best score. Very, very notably here. The sample size is kind of small at 248, but it's still like statistically significant. But White's micro score with like 25% is notable. No, I think this is like the professional move for black. I don't see any problem with this. It seems like Carlsen would play bishop takes c6. Oh no, there it is. Carlsen Caruana 01. I think I did a video about that game actually on chesslecture.com. It was in my mind. It's all in there, guys. It's all in there. That was actually a great game for Caruana. But Caruana also winning a game against Topalov. But objectively, black should be okay after bishop takes c6. Anyways, I think this is theoretically probably the best move on paper. But as you can see, most people don't do that. But there's a question of whether you want to play for a win, too. Maybe it's objectively easier to play d6, g6, kind of contemporary wisdom, like d6, g6, play it like a King's Indian. The other move is b5, which weakens the queen side. Yeah, I don't understand b5 at this point. The way to play for black theoretically is supposed to be the same as in like some quiet lines of the Joko. You do g6 and play the King's Indian. I was always taught that macho approach is good for black. Black is macho. He's playing the King's Indian. Everything's cool. It is not a King's Indian because white hasn't played c4. But it's actually not even a d4 opening. But it has a lot of similarities with the Tory attack or something like that. I always thought of it extremely similar to a Tory attack for black. All right, so anyway, c3. I don't like b5 really. So I would play bishop d7 or g6 here. The question is whether you like double pawns or not. I mean, this looks fine. Maybe the purist move, but g6 is fine too. Not a fan of b5. I'm not sure why, I guess it's not bad though. Clearly, attacking f7 seems appropriate here. Bishop c2 seems unnecessarily passive, but that's what Mule Skinner did. Blow B, welcome. Gladys Troll. Subscriber stream. Game analysis submitted by subscribers. So b5 weakening the queen side. I think that this is too, a little too passive. Bishop here. I mean, we don't mind if black plays knight a5. This is like a standard type position, I guess. Though this should actually be okay for black too. That's kind of weird, actually. You know what's weird about this position? Why did so few people play knight a5 here? Isn't that strange? Like they're afraid that f7 is going to explode or something. There's nothing wrong with knight a5 yet. Only 3 out of 40 players actually played it. Strange. But again, I guess there's nothing wrong with bishop e7 on the other hand too. You can always play knight a5 next move. So anyways, bishop c2 was played. Maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. not allowing knight a5. Now g6, I like this for black. And this is an interesting move. So here, Mule Skinner introduces play on the queen side. With the classical way to play this would just be to castle, rook e1, knight e2, knight f1, or maybe knight f1 straight up, you know, and then knight f. We could do a Steinitz style. Arms on Twitch. Hasn't been that easy for a long time to get to first place. Astrobate threw in 100. It isn't easy. We need to get some bit battles this week. It's been kind of slow. My cough is a little better. Come on, guys. Astrobate with 245. Alms up to 213. Someone on sound's not here yet. I don't know if he's going to be here tonight. He might be traveling. So I think with white, I would opt for knight bd2 and the Steinitzian. Hu Yifan and Muzichuk had an interesting match. I actually misremembered it. I thought that Muzichuk was playing the white side of the Joko. Okay, this is Roy Lopez. Never mind. Not a lot of games here. Okay. A4, reasonable move. Creating some play on the queen side. Looks like Christian Gabriel won a game with B4, keeping it closed. Arms on Twitch, 79. Taking the lead. Can a camel eat a dog? Spectacular Camel with 14. Spectacular Camel in the bit battle for the week. That puts Spectacular Camel somewhere around 5th place. Get the party started. So I don't know, man. I never know what you're supposed to do. I would think that black would want to maintain maximum flexibility in situations like this. If you play like b4, can't white play a5? Let's see what happened between Godena and Gabriel. Yeah, he did play a5. That's a good battle. You got to watch for the Levante Vida slash Nigel Short maneuver. Rook b8, rook b5. Any good Spanish player is going to be looking for that. But in this case, like bishop a4 is too dangerous. Your last bits. They stole your last bits. Any good tournaments at the moment going on? Oh, you mean like with Russian grandmasters? Gladys Troll, you're kind of biased, aren't you? Like Gladys Troll only likes Russian grandmasters. It's a nationalist. Alright. So knight on bd2. Dubious inaccuracy. Well, that seems like a little harsh. I don't think it's that bad. Antonio, I've been out for chess for a while. New son was born last Sunday. Wow. Don't know if you guys are coming to Carlson's magnificent chess and Memorial Gashimov. No, congratulations, Antonio. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time. I was just thinking about you in terms of people who've played the most games against me on the stream. You're probably up there. I was wondering how many games do we have like played on the stream? You'd like to compete, have tons of bits but don't know how to cheer. Can somebody teach Bloby how to cheer? Antonio, are you over 200 games against me? We need somebody to teach Bloby how to join the bit war. Can somebody teach him the command? So, I don't think knight on bd2 is that bad. I was thinking about artificially isolating the Pawnda with a5. I wouldn't give it a dubious. There's a5. Looks reasonable to me. And this introduces this bishop a4 idea. Black can't solidly protect his structure with that, but it becomes double-edged because black can go after the a pawn with rook b5. Move 11. Exclaim how to cheer is really a command? Or are you just being sarcastic? It's not a laughing matter.
Bishop g7, knight c4. Looks like a very reasonable game. Castle, castle. Now black played knight e8. Strange square. I mean, this is like a King's Indian. Again, so my first reaction, if I'm going to maneuver my f6 knight, I want it to be active. I would imagine either knight h5 heading for f4, obvious, right? Or maybe knight d7 heading for c5. So Antonio, you have 135 games. I think that would still probably put you in the top 5 or 6. Nefedov has the most. Mule Skinner is like second. There have to be several people with, you know, well into the hundreds. I was just curious if anybody else had 200. I guess not. Anyone that we forgot about that used to be around a lot? This is a super weird move. So the knight has no future, but he is going to break with f5. Pretty one-dimensional move, actually. At least we know what the plan is. Really no way to no way to stop f5. My first reaction would be to think about d4. Try to punish black for retreating from the center, but there isn't any tension, so maybe d4, but then bishop g4. This is what I was concerned about. Let me turn off this engine so we're not blinded by the machine. To cheer, do cheer, and without a space, enter a number. Cheer without a space, just cheer, and without a space, enter a number. Cheer a number without a space. I'm thinking like d4 is a possibility. It actually looks really like this could be dangerous. Blomp, 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 blomp. When the b2, you know, the whole diagonal looks kind of hard to hold together. Does that make sense? This is actually good for black. So d4 is not going to hold. Bishop g5. Okay. Black could play bishop f6 here, like in some lines of the modern Benoni. Trading the dark squared bishop, that's what he did. It's kind of a weird move, but trading the dark squared bishops is actually not bad for black. Please get bits. Troll tried to send a cheer, but had no bits. So now he trades on f6. White doesn't really want to trade the dark squared bishop. That's the problem with bishop g5. Right? So the best move according to Engine is bishop d2. But the question is, now what? He goes back, I guess. You could try something weird like old Indian style or check Benoni, knight g7. That's actually in the modern Benoni too. Sometimes what they do. Anonymous cheerer. I love the ghost. Pac-Man ghost. Cheers. Anonymous cheerer cheered 100. Asterbate with 10. Did you actually cheer, Asterbate? No, you didn't. You messed up. Anonymous cheerer, thank you. So, I don't like this exchange. I think you helped black there. You know, the Spanish, like the Sicilian, this square is very vital, I think. The most important central square is d5. But here we don't want to play knight d5, have him chop it with a bishop, and just have a pawn on d5, which does effectively nothing. So this looks like a strong move. This knight is particularly... Actually, both the knights are very awkward for black now. So Mule Skinner is sort of sneaking an advantage here. Ludwig AC, welcome. Very precariously placed, but he's coming back here, I think. Which isn't bad, actually. Basically. And maybe it's bad. Maybe he has to fianchetto the queen. Oh, what are we going to do? If you take your center, it's just melted completely. How about just take everything? White is a nice center, a nice advantage. But it's still no easy way for white to win. What books would you recommend for a 500 who can't remember the names of the pieces? Good question. Well, I think one book would be enough for a 500 who can't remember the names of the pieces. I'll have to get back on that. This is such a nice center for white. Now, I missed something. Okay. So I was thinking we could just play g3 and win a pawn here, but maybe that's too materialistic. For example, g3. Oh, we're losing e4. I thought that would be... Yeah, we got to defend that pawn. Okay. Nice job by Muleskinner. Actually, this move is a nice move because it's a double attack and defense theme. Best moves in chess are ones that attack and defend simultaneously. Catchphrase, you heard it here first. Bishop c2, also okay. But obviously that move restricts our own bishop. This is more of a productive move, if we can get it. Of course, he was probably worried about this with another attack on the pawn. So it's still a game. That's not the game. The game is bishop c2, f6. Okay, he wanted to protect his pawn. He's got the queen retreating back to h6. It looks okay for black. Seriously. Now I play queen d3. That's the point of a5 now, where the a5 really comes in. Artificially, I called it artificially isolating the pawn. Now we have like check, bishop c4. But he can still hold there. Bishop b3 check, king moves, bishop c4, bishop e5. So I expected bishop b5 now. A little tougher defense. I guess it boils down to the same thing. If black plays like rook b5 or something. No, actually, that's not as good. Still seems like a reasonable try for black. Wow, Bloby donated 1,000. Yes. That is awesome, man. Thank you. Bloby with a really big donation. 1,000 bits. Cheers. Welcome to our stream. He also became a subscriber this week. You got it. Great job. Thank you for supporting the stream. So Bloby, with 1,000, putting those 200s to shame. 1,000 bucks. 1,000 Twitch bucks. I'm a little concerned that our advantage is kind of micro advantage here. It's easy for the computer to say plus 2.5. It's not that, I'm not that convinced we're winning. Black's kind of surviving a little too long. Now we can win a pawn finally. There we go. Okay, that's good. Looks like f5's coming along, but black's getting some counterplay. I guess I would consider going for it. I mean, what else does black have here? Rook d2, rook b2. I mean, this isn't exactly a traditional King's Indian attack now, f5. I don't know. Black's basically just a pawn down without much to show for it. There goes the center. Is there an idea behind this? Or is he just trading pawns? Because I'm not sure that helped him in any way. Like, he just gave up the bastion in the center with e5. Like I was telling to Move 11 earlier this week, it's very important to be patient, you know? Chess has a lot in common with fishing. That's my new analogy. Chess fishing. tournaments. So they have chess boxing. Why we can't have chess fishing? This is a long game, apparently. Somewhat long game. I'm not sure Muleskinner said the particular time control. ED4, CD4, knight e6. So he's down a pawn, and he gave up his center without nothing to show for it. Without anything to show for it. And now knight g5. And this is more in the fishing theme. This is strange, though. I don't see a threat other than the pawn there. Looks like we can defend that pretty easily. Oh, or not defend it. Well, this is also hanging, kids. Actually, I mean, I don't see why that's not just like dead meat immediately. No reason Muleskinner couldn't just take on c7. That's what the engine says. So this is technically a mistake. Not as good as queen takes c7. But I think it's like splitting hairs now. We're up a pawn. This is hanging. We have a killer, a pawn. It should be an easy win. This is some sort of tactical mistake where he's like pinned himself. And yeah, so basically black just kind of imploded without really anything special happening. So I think that Muleskinner's opening was like kind of lazy, but not bad, pretty solid. But black basically just imploded from, was a slightly worse position. Doesn't really make you want to play that setup for black, though, does it? I don't like b5. I've got to be honest. You know, I don't really... I just don't see why we need to play b5. If we don't need to play b5, we shouldn't play b5 in the Roi Lepez. I think a lot of people think that the black side of the Roi Lepez, because in the classical main lines you play b5, you should automatically play b5. I mean, I think black plays b5 because he has to, you know? He has to play b5 to chase the bishop away so the e5 pawn is, like, protected. But if you don't have to play b5, if we go back to that position, ultimately, like, this led to the weakening of black's queen side. And then why do we have to play b5? Look at the statistics. Hey, which move has the worst score for black? b5. What a surprise. No, actually, bishop g4 has worse. Well, bishop g4 is not a move. Of the four real moves, b5 has the worst score. Let's avoid getting that weakness. Okay, guys, that was a long analysis. We're going to do the next game for big money. Big money, guys. You heard me. We're going to do the next game for big money. So I'm just waiting for the next donation. It's all right. I've got all day. Did you hear that, Pawnda? Big money. Final game for my first over-the-board tournament. What? Wow. Check out Big Money. Final game. Wow, I just assumed Big Money was like this middle-aged guy who'd like played chess all his life or something. You don't know till you get some information. You always build up an idea about people. I just figured Big Money was like a regular player who'd been playing for a long time or something. So... Time control 90, classic, 30 moves, 30 minutes. Excuse me, 90 minutes, 30 seconds per move. 5 rounds, score 2. 3 losses is white, 2 wins is black. Funny. Found out my opponent is actually one of my lecturers from my previous year in university. Later found out that my opponent in this game is actually one of my lecturers from my previous year. That's kind of scary. Like, did you do what I did and like you didn't attend all the lectures you're supposed to attend? I had this terrible psychology professor who I hated. And we had a big lecture hall. There was like 200 people. And he was so boring, I couldn't go. I just like couldn't go. It was painful to sit there and listen to him. So I must have like flunked that or almost failed that class or withdrawn or something. I literally like couldn't go. But it's weird. You think you would recognize him. Okay, you probably weren't thinking about it. So Big Money, did he say? He won every game with black. Let's see who won. and we'll know who he is. King G6. Black wins. All right. So big money is black. Safe assumption, right? If he lost all his games with white and he won all his games with black, well, that's not a safe assumption. Let's read the email again, the message again. Final game. 3 losses is white. So he could have been white and losing. Real big money says I'm white. Okay, he's here to tell us. We couldn't really deduct that. It feels like an SAT problem. Could we figure out whether he was white or black based on the information that we had there? Actually, no. All right, so he is sharing a loss with us. A lot of people only put their wins. That's like the gut reaction. The people like to see the games they won. Oh, he said that he was white, yeah. So more a gambit with knight f3. There's a funny move here that I mentioned before in the stream. Very rarely do you see this move order, but actually a6 is a kind of way to take advantage. Now queen takes d4 is knight c6 in a good position for black. Knight takes d4 is knight f6 and a good variation for black. And so the only good move for white, I guess, is like c3. But I like a6 against the Mora. So I think everything in there is pretty good for black. Anyway, that doesn't help big money because he's white here. We're helping his opponent. Giving his opponent new ideas. Bishop b5 check. Magnus Carlsen style. Knight takes d4. Just a weird move order to reach a normal Sicilian. And now you play bishop g5. So, like, this is why I don't play the Najdorf, basically, because of John Nunn's, like, 1980 book, where there was, like, 200 pages of analysis on this position. You know, I mean, nowadays it's not as popular. Like, bishop e3 and the English attack is more popular than even this. But this was considered the main line of the Najdorf. It's slowly been usurped by bishop e3. But, I mean, there's so much theory. It's like, I had a whole book on just the poison pawn variation. And that's in, like, the 80s. I mean, imagine how much theory there is now. Like, a separate book on just the poison pawn with e6, f4, and queen b6. Just this position in the 80s had its own book. You know, I mean, that's pretty scary. So, too much for me, man. I can't play either side of this. Never touched it. It was just too theoretical. Just too much work. So e6, f4, and then bishop e7. So bishop e7 is like a safe move. This is Fischer said this was best. And I think even Kasparov has played the poison pawn. But black has to be willing to take material and kind of hunker down and play guerrilla warfare. And you also have to be willing to memorize like massive amounts of theory. There are other sidelines like a3, knight b3. These are played commonly. And what else have I noticed? I thought I've noticed this lately. h6, bishop h4, and then queen b6. This started to be like a trend recently. See that? Vacher, the biggest expert in the Najdorf, now that Gelfand retired from playing the Najdorf and Kasparov is basically retired. For some reason, this started to be really, really topical. But again, I'm not an expert. Bishop e7 is like a solid line, I guess. So now you played like very quietly. It seems a little inconsistent. Like you played bishop g5, which is a very aggressive move, then f4, which is a very aggressive move, and then you play like bishop e2, which is essentially like probably not a bad move, but like inconsistent. You know, normally you play aggressive, 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 aggressive. You continue to play in the same vein, but it seems like here you're like really aggressive, then you're like hesitating. And somehow that's usually bad. You probably lose like any opening advantage when you trip up and make one passive move in a very sharp line like this. I would recommend not playing such a sharp line unless you have the time to memorize 25 moves of theory. But I mean, do what you want. So castles, queen d2, and now there's almost no games because it's like a relatively obscure position. On the other hand, because of black's move bishop e7 being kind of passive, quieter, then big money is more justified in playing quietly himself. But you might want to look at something like, you might want to look at a more Karpovian type of approach, like bishop e2, castles. Actually, Karpov played like this with white. He would play bishop e2 first, and then he would play aggressively later with something like castles f4 or castles bishop g5 and f4. You can actually integrate those ideas into a kingside castling scheme, which is the way that Karpov liked to play. He was successful in the 80s. Nowadays, I mean, it's still a reasonable variation for white, but not as sharp. Here, again, like obscure position, but reasonable. Now we're down to like only one game. It's so rare. And you played f5, which sort of bit weird because you're not developing. It's move 10. But I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that bishop being undefended. I think that the main source of counterplay for black in the Najdorf is the e4 pawn. So you play f5, he's going to play e5, and then you're going to have to make sure this pawn is adequately defended. You're also going to have to watch for tactics based on that bishop, but there's nothing he can do right away, I guess. Computer is like predicting some massive advantage for black here. I don't see it. Black has a trick with like d5 or something. That's the normal Najdorf idea. I was thinking now this. If black can free himself by playing d5 in the Najdorf, this is the most important point in the Sicilian defense. And we talked about that. Well, actually, I mentioned that to Acerbate today, but also in the Ruy Lopez, anything where black has a dark square pawn chain, like the Ruy Lopez or this Najdorf Sicilian or this Sveshnikov, the d5 square is the weak point. If he can achieve d5, and here he does it by tactical means, in other words, ed5, knight d5, trick, because the bishop is unprotected on g5. And if I take, you're just taking back, you're like, haha, I got in d5. Now everything's fine. So this seems to be, in that case, black is comfortable. This seems to be the problem. Let's see what the Oracle says. Oracle disagrees. The Oracle likes his move, b5. So that's even stronger. Shouldn't this equalize? No, the computer disagrees. I'm missing something. I must be missing something. Wow, the computer totally disagrees. I thought black was fine here. But actually, wow, this is amazing. Knight takes f5, black's up a pawn, and almost lost, according to Stockfish. That is some deep stuff for me. I had no clue that black was in any danger. Of course, black's a little bit behind in development. I wouldn't think it was that bad that black was like -1. Wow. I might have played d5 with black. Like, seriously. So this is even stronger. But this is a bit natural. I mean, this is the normal configuration. We go with pressure on e4. Of course, knight c5 is covered, but he's going to try to bring everything down on e4. More aggressive than d5. if we, you know, if we play d5, we trade pawns. If we play knight takes e4, we win a pawn. So black's actually going for more. Oh, you just blundered? Knight takes e4? Have to calculate. Check. That doesn't work. Knight takes d5, I would assume. Queen takes d5 is your plan. Oh, so you have some in-between move. Maybe we missed, like, some knight b6. Alms on Twitch. Receive fresh bits. Thank you for supporting us. What is this? I mean, I like this exchange sacrifice in black trying to take the initiative, but we need to be a little more scientific. I don't see black's clearly winning here yet. Can we trap the queen? Not quite. So I don't see it. I mean, this is interesting and unclear. So you can trap the queen. OMG. Well, the point is you threaten to trap the queen with bishop b7. He can get away. And then you just have like a raging initiative. And the classic. Oh, man. And then like takes e4. It's crushing. Everything bagel. Every single piece on the board for black is working. That's like a Najdorf nightmare. But that's hard to see, you know, for an amateur player. So, Big Money got a little bit lucky there. He missed it. This is an overt blunder, and black just let him get away with it. Now you took, and black is comfortable here. As long as white doesn't maintain a piece on d5, black seems to be equal, at least. Bishop f3 is given a dubious. But I mean, anyone's welcome to suggest a move here for white. I welcome your suggestions. Bishop f3 is running into d5 again, and the same tactic, d5, pop, pop, you know, takes e4, winning a piece. It's all over. Black missed it again. So he's not thinking sharply enough. But what's white supposed to do in this position? Just lose the pawn? What the heck do you do? Like, there is no good move for white. Like, d5 is coming no matter what white does. I would think this would still be very strong for black. Okay, here maybe you do this. Maybe you can just hold up the e4 square and survive. But why would that be so bad after bishop f3 as well, actually? So if he plays d5, can't we just like cling to life with something like this? Is it that bad? Actually, for that matter, we have knight c5 here. So maybe this doesn't even work. I want to see why. Thanks, guys, for your donations. Acerbate, Alms on Twitch, especially Bloby. I want to see why bishop f3 is so bad, because it looks like we have this shot here. Is bishop g5 really the problem? To me, it doesn't seem like a big deal. I mean, we just moved the queen to the white square, and anyway, we wanted to go there. But Big Money went to f2. I'm concerned about d5, so I think we should play this. Try to strengthen our e4. At this point, white is like fully in defensive mode and just trying to hang on. You know, we're not trying to like attack or something. We're just trying to survive now. Black has the initiative. Queen f2, rook c8. I think that black's making good moves, but not necessarily the most decisive ones. Of course, turkey farm. I mean, but we're beyond that now. We're just trying to like stay on life support at this point. Of course, we want to have a knight on d5, but at this point, it's just like it's too late. You know, we're just trying to stay alive. Rook c8, and now white like lashed out with h4. It's not a ridiculous move. I think he wants to castle queenside or something. It's kind of a classic Sveshnikov theme. Like white goes h4, you go bishop h6, and white goes g4, you're like, haha, bishop f4 forever in your face. That's the basic premise in the Sveshnikov. So the engine's kind of like h4, you've gone too far. You're now like beyond the point of no return. Pawnda's sad. He was fully in favor of h4.
I can't believe it. My favorite move didn't work. It's too late. I'm sad.
But that was just sad. Cheers, Pawnda. So h4 asking too much from a defensive position. This is a really strong move. But anyway, the question is, can Big Money survive? Big Money is an aggressive player and doesn't strike me as someone who likes to defend, but it's a skill we all have to have. Black has a huge initiative here. We're just trying to stay alive. Looks like maybe something like this. On life support. You know? He won't take no for an answer. This is strong, and then he walks right into the Sveshnikov trap. Like, that's it. Now you've just basically, like, weakened your king side. Slice, and the dark square and the white square bishop, man. These pieces are going to just eat you alive. All he needs to do is play d5 somehow, and white is, like, chopped liver. I mean, its next move, it should come with crushing effect. He played, like, he played here rook c4, but what is up with d5? And there may be some complications, because that bishop will hang in some lines. But I'm just looking at stuff like this. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's weird. It's complicated, because the bishop's under attack. But then again, this looks awful for white. It just looks awful. No matter what you do. I guess it's like, this is good too. Suddenly there's hope. Maybe. Apparently this is very strong. And it's just a pawn. I mean, honestly, even like rook takes e4 might be good. And you need to do it. Whoa, okay. Is rook e3 check better? So black messed up a bit, apparently. Oh yeah, bishop g3 check? And not trading queens? Ooh. Something like this. That looks pretty nasty. Because like your next move is something like this, I guess. Which looks downright gruesome. So he probably kind of cashed in his chips a little too early. He could have taken on c2. I guess that's just stronger. Cleaning out the whole 7th rank. Yeah. Because when you take c2, you weaken the whole pawn chain. When you win e4, it's just one pawn. Suddenly, Big Money's still alive. He's got control of d5. he's got a white, white square knight against a dark square bishop. I mean, maybe he can put up some resistance here. Hesitant move. Very strong king coming to e4. First he locks down d5. It's a whole new ball game, as they say. Yeah, I don't want to lose this pawn. I mean, it's a great plan, but can we just play like rook g1 and maintain the position? Let's say. Wow. That's psycho aggressive. Sacking another pawn. When you get the d6 back though, you're active. Wow, he doesn't even want the pawn. But that may allow black some counterplay. We're 2 pawns down here, not 1. I feel like white was a little too liberal. This H file, that's going to kill you. You have to play rook h4 now. Now it's probably lost. So he can take. The white king's really, really open. If this falls, it's over. Now it's 3 connect to pass pawns. There's no way this should be saved. Yeah. That was funny. I mean, you had really good counter chances, actually, at the end. Like, when he started to mess up, allowed the trade of queens, and you had knight versus bishop. That position alone, I mean, I think that you made a mistake that I've been talking about with move 11. This inability to kind of cut your losses and realize that a draw is a legitimate result. And you need to just concretely accept draws as a result of the game. Until they change the rules of chess and draws are no longer allowed, we need to like stop being like, this maniac who only wins or loses. I mean, I think you need to just kind of, I mean, you might even win, but you need to make the decision, like, I'm concretely going to try to save the game now. A draw is okay. So at that point, when you're 1 pawn down with a good knight against bad bishop, I think you can probably, like, just hold, if you don't do anything crazy. But then you sacrifice the second pawn and, like, went a little bit too far. You kind of need to put on the brakes and say, okay, let's just draw, because ultimately that's a half point. It might, like, win a tournament or something, Anyway, good game. All right, Chesstosterone added a game. Some aggressive players like kind of dismiss draws as legitimate results, but that's like ridiculous, Unfortunately, that's part of the game. Acerbate. Wow, it's a long one. 29 moves. Acerbate versus France. Oh my god. 29 moves and you have 6 center pawn loss with 2 inaccuracies. Well, I was noticing this with move 11. I hope he doesn't mind me using him as an example, but move 11 is an advanced player. He's over 2,000. And normally when you get to that point where you're over 2,000, you start to have a lot more draws. But he almost never has draws. And he's also not like a total maniac, So I'm kind of wondering, why does he have so few draws, It seems like he didn't really legitimately accept that draws are one of the 3 natural results of the game. It seems like you either go too far all the time or you don't know when to turn on the brakes, basically. I mean, Big Money was dead. He was just completely dead, and it's nothing short of like a miracle from the heavens that he could even get a draw. But at that point, when he was like this close to equalizing, or was equal, he just continued to kind of plow forward and like sacrifice more stuff and just like commit, you know, suicide by being 2 pawns down, when he could have just shut it down. Like I think he had almost like a kind of white square fortress at some point, you know. So the art of the draw. It's like a companion book to Donald Trump. All right, that's my, when I finally publish a book, it's gonna be like a million seller. The art of the draw. All right, e4, e5. Acerbate, white. The queen f6. HTFP. An Arsenal fan. Believe me, like, Big Money, I understand. I've been maniac too at times. But there's something satisfying about saving a lost position. A draw feels like a win, you know? At that point, it really does. It's the next best thing. So d4. I feel like we've seen this before. I mean, we have, but specifically with Acerbate. So there's a weird kind of trap here. I guess d6, knight c3, c6, cd, or rather ed, bishop g5. I talked about this once. Probably no one will remember this, like randomly. But I'm not sure at the end of the day how good this is because of this. And now, can we take it a step further and go here? I've never actually analyzed this far in this position before, but I guess this isn't sound, right? Well, is it? Or isn't it? You could just simply play bishop h4, but then you have the classic g5 quandary. You still have 2 pieces hanging. Fun position to analyze. Now, technically you can go here, right? So this is also quite good. Let me see what the engine says. This I'm sure I checked this before with an engine. I knew this much was good, but I didn't go further here. F6, so bishop c4 is best. Bishop h4 is also moved. Well, bishop h4 is engine. Bishop h4, knight h6. Anyway, good to know. There's no forced win, but white's up a clear pawn, you know, with a better position. So at some point you have to kind of call off the dogs of war and just consolidate your extra pawn. Stop being fancy, you know. But in this case, we're not playing for a draw. We're just kind of, it's a strategic retreat here. We're being rational, you know. I'm up a pawn. I have a strong pawn in the center. I'm better developed. I'm going to not sacrifice a piece unless I have to. So let's see what Acerbate did. So after d6, he didn't go developing with knight c3. He played bishop c4. The computer is so mean, it gives him a dubious for this move. But, I mean, this has got to be a second best or third best move that white can play. Then the classic h6. Knight c3. Now we expect c6. We no longer have the key cog with bishop g5 though. So the position is no longer like devastating. Basically, after c6, black has a sort of playable game here. In fact, they even won 2 games. Combined, black is 2-0 here. It's sound now, you know. That's the problem. I mean, that's the point. So if you play knight c3, it's like essentially a double threat, which is what I guess Azerbaijan failed to really appreciate. You can't defend against both threats. Bishop c4 gives him time, and now he can. Then he plays this crazy move. Whoops. Sorry. This looks like game over. There's still this little question, but you'll have rook g1. So he didn't even bother trying to take this pawn. It's just rook g1 with tempo. Rook g1, queen h3, rook g3. This looks really bad. This is hanging. Apparently Azerbaijan is seeing further. What is the follow-up there? You're just going to play bishop back to e2? I mean, how does this guy not take on e4 check here? You can't miss that. What does white even play now? Bishop e2? Is this best? Just give him the rook and then crunch this pawn? But it's certainly not as fun as it once was. You know, this is going to be a while. It's going to take a while to win now. At the end of the day, you're only up the exchange or something. A couple pawns. It's not a wipeout. I don't know how he cannot do that. He did bishop b7. All right. I mean, I guess that's not too ridiculous. Unfortunately, I think black missed this. The fun killer. Now, do we have this move that would enable queen takes g2? So Azerbaijan with a complicated position incorporates this. Black didn't want any part of that. And then e5. Wow. Exploiting the pin. And now I would probably take on a8 if I were black here. He played this. Now black resurrects the knight. Here. Castle. Nice king. Safe. It's a safe position. Lots of long-term king safety here for black. Plus 22. Even I can lose this position. Oh, a little two-move tactic. And now he just like totally lost his mind. Azerbaijan couldn't help himself. Apparently there was mate in 6. And this is mate in 8. So where's the mate in 6? Presumably knight e5. Knight e5, king c5 only move. And then what? So knight e5, king c5. There's no bishop e3. We have to play... Well, you can play knight d7 check there. That's really messed up. Then the king goes back to c6. No, then that's amazing. Someone says queen d4. Queen d4 right away. Arsenal, were you looking at the engine? You're cheating now. No, my move was winning. My move was right. Knight e5. But I didn't see the rest. King c5. It's like mate in 5. Queen d4 was second best. You said knight e5? Queen d4 of king c5. We can't go here. What, are you kidding? There's a mate with that? There's a queen sack? You can threaten it next move with like c3. I mean, maybe that's the answer. Very possible. It looks like you'd have some sort of interference move, you know, like to try to eat the pawn on d6 or something. Anyway, this is more for the problem-solving competition. Asterby just takes the queen and then quickly forgets about mate. He's just interested in material. Very pragmatic. Not elegant, Asterbate, not elegant. But you got the job done. Alright, man. So they gave him 6 cent upon loss with 2 inaccuracies. And one of his inaccuracies was on move 27, which is very interesting. This guy was probably like, what? He probably submitted this as like a complaint that Asterbate is a cheater. He played bishop c4. That was an inaccuracy. And then later on move 27, an inaccuracy. Arsenal, if we have time, it's only dependent on time. You know, if we have time, I'll definitely do your game too. All right. So Nefedov is up next. Oh no. No. I'm not doing this game. No. No. Is Nefedov here? Is Nefedov here? Are you kidding me? We have to show them how inaccurate Nefedov's opening play is. Alright. Nefedov got very lucky. He misplayed the Scotch game against me. This is our simul game from Sunday. And I don't know the theory too much. So I got this far on knowledge, but at this point, my knowledge is kind of vague. I didn't know that like d3 is more mainline than g3. I know you're supposed to play both at some point. So I just did like g3 first. And now Nefedov castled queenside, which is technically not the main line, I guess. But it may be good. I mean, to me, it looks risky to castle queenside for black. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. He played knight b6 right away. Okay, so this is just concretely a mistake. Yeah, he could castle queenside. I think he, like, confused the variations. He probably meant to play, like, queenside castles immediately. Instead, he played this. Now I'm completely clueless. Obviously, I have to play, like, b3. I didn't do anything wrong, you know? Like, I did nothing wrong. I left the game thinking, like, I'm an idiot. You know, Nefedov is an expert in the Scotch, and it turns out, like, there's, like, no games from this position almost at all. Yeah, no, I mean, he doesn't even play, like, a normal line. I'm supposed to have a good position here. So, he castles queenside. I played bishop g2. And then Nefedov played f6. And this is a move that, like, white is 2-0 against. But I'm terrified. I don't know the theory. Nefedov, you know, knows better than me. So basically, I'm just in this obscure position. But I did a crazy thing here. It was all based on a very, very stupid... It was based on a very, very stupid miscalculation. I forgot that, like, what happens next. I forgot that if I play pawn takes pawn, queen takes, bishop b2, he has bishop b4 check, and I can't play knight d2 without dropping my bishop on b2. I mean, it's really deep, but I'm playing a 25 board simul, and I literally forgot that, like, when I take here, he takes, I play bishop b2, he checks, and oh, by the way, this loses a piece, the queen takes b2. Now, this was my hallucination. And when I, like, ridiculously took on f6, I forgot that he could play bishop b4 check, and I can't go knight d2. That's the depth of it. It was, like, baby mistake that I can't calculate normally. But actually, Nefedov's line isn't very good, it looks like, in reality. Okay, I mean, like, Sevillano and Gormali both beat weaker players, but the position looks legitimately good for white. But the deceptive thing is that white has to sacrifice a pawn here, which I didn't have the confidence to do. But if you think about, Remlinger is not a bad player, and he lost easily against Sevillano. Of course, Larry's pretty old. I mean, he's got to be like in this, like around 70 or more. Actually, Remlinger has to be in his well into his 70s, in 2000 by 2013. So he's not a spring chicken. He's still 2300. But I mean, the Black King is not safe in the long term. So I didn't appreciate that I can actually like just sacrifice a pawn here with bishop e2. Enrico knows what he's doing. F takes e6 and then castles. I mean, this is like money. These bishops are monstrous. The black pieces are badly placed, and you just sack a pawn. I mean, it's not even a pawn sack. I don't know what black's doing here. The best move is d5. But, what's his name? Remlinger didn't find that. Like, this is literally black's only chance to try to sack back the e5 pawn. It makes sense. You gotta break out. So, what's happening here? I was looking at this. I don't know. Kind of like better for white, but still not clear. Remlinger played rook e8, trying to hang on to the pawn. Now a4. That was a Gormully move. Enrico played this. It was also good. So white is just better there. So basically Nefedov sort of bluffed me with a variation that's not very good. But I had this absurd miscalculation that this is ridiculous. Like, I just lose. It just loses by force. Pawn takes f6. Queen takes f6. Bishop b2. And I could just resign now. You know, it's ridiculous that I even played on. The engine is like king d1. Okay, I mean, seriously? I'm going to play king d1 with d5 coming? Okay, not right away, but, you know, in the next move or so. Maybe I could try to creep my king over here to c2. Didn't seem very good, so... It's kind of a nightmare to see this. King f1. The interesting point here, the engine says that this was a slightly better chance. I don't know why. It looks equally horrible. I mean, it's just... Well, I mean, I can't ever take... I'm going to have to evacuate my king. I guess there's still a very slim chance for white to survive here. I'm basically playing rook odds. My king isn't even the problem. My problem is my rook. You know, I have no rook in an open position. So, if I could magically make my rook a castle, I'd be fine. It's terrible. So I played this. Not too difficult for Nefedov now. Apparently this was inaccurate. And I just don't even know what to do. And then I get into a pin on this line. Again, I'm down a rook. I didn't see this move, bishop f1. But he's still fine. Queen a6. Or rather, queen a4, protecting a6. I could have survived here a while, though. So that's it. After this last move, it's over. Now bishop f1. Here. I can't get out of this pin. So I'm just going to lose a piece, I guess. It's pretty bad. I'm angry with Nefedov for making me replay this game. Very embarrassing loss. Congratulations. We both misplayed the opening. Alright. So Alms is up next. We got that embarrassment out of the way. One of my best games in a long time. But I'm not sure, like, that bishop f1 before, like, actually, I might have put up some resistance there if I had played it on the previous move. What do I have, like queen f2 now? I mean, I guess probably black is winning, but not that easy. It makes me not want to play the Scotch ever again. It's a sharp kind of opening where it's always an open position, so you got to know what you're doing. I just on a lark decided to play it, even though I don't know what I'm doing. Concordians. Makes me think of accordions. So, okay, Alms is up next. Went to the doctor today. Kind of a scam artist doctor, but I have to get like tests done, and she didn't think that my lungs sounded very bad, so I didn't even get like an antibiotic or anything. Now I have to go get an x-ray. All right. So what are we doing now? It's Alms. Hey, this is my game from the 3rd round of the Lone Wolf. And game's instructive. White was completely on the winning side. Black could sacrifice the knight quite well. It's an example of space advantage, a lack of space. Oh, so it's an easy win. I'm showing off against Professor Moriarty. We've seen Professor Moriarty before. Have we not? Who else submitted a game against Professor Moriarty? Was that you as well, Alms? Are you just beating on this guy? We got the... They don't think that I have a lung infection or even bronchitis. But we'll see what the x-ray says. I sounded much better at the doctor, though. Like, when I start talking a lot, I start coughing constantly. The problem is when I went to the doctor, I'm not coughing all the time because I'm not talking all the time. And she was like, well, it doesn't sound that bad. You know, it's like playing tricks. But I told her when I talk a lot, when I'm exhaling constantly, either exercising or doing videos or streaming, that's when I cough a lot. I literally don't cough once when I'm sleeping in the night. Like, it's only when I'm actively like breathing out constantly. Scotch for the healing properties. Nice joke. Yeah, they're gonna take x-rays tomorrow. Alright, Alms is white. Once I had an MRI of my brain. I did a chess psychological chess study MRI experiment with National Master Chris Chabris at Harvard like 20 years ago. I guess it was around like 2000. And he was doing a study like testing chess players' brains. Basically, I had to look at chess positions while I was in the MRI, and then they were measuring, you know, tests on how the brain was reacting and stuff. It was cool though. I got like a free MRI of my brain. You guys have ever been in the MRI machine? It's kind of irritating though. It's making these long, like really loud metallic noises, and it's hard to kind of concentrate on it's hard to concentrate on chess, thinking about chess positions. All right, so Alm's playing e3. Yeah, if you have claustrophobia, I would I would recommend not getting an MRI. I had it twice. So, Wesley. Black now makes a very serious inaccuracy, I think, with b6. But maybe I'm wrong. Has theory changed its view on this move? Now I'm kind of having second thoughts and getting confused. Let's go back a second. I think one of my problems is that I tend to play b6 on this on this e3. I'm wondering why don't I play c5? If you look at it in retrospect, c5 is probably a better move. It's more active. I had a game where I lost in the first Saturday GM tournament like 2 years ago in a b6, e3, Queen's India. I have actually a really bad score with black in this line for some reason. I've lost several games, even though it's very quiet for white. I don't know why I don't just play c5. Well, now I know why, I guess, because I didn't trust b6. And I don't like the semi-Tarash. That would leave me only with like cd, ed, and either bishop e4 check or b6. But I like this a little bit better. This variation. This would be my preference. You know, there's a kind of Nimzo, I guess, after bishop e4. You guys know this variation? Knight a4. This is a famous position. I have a big thing for knight a4. I really like that. There was this game I played in a tournament in Spain once, and my friend Mark Quinn, who's an IM from Ireland, was adjacent to me, and he did like, he was black in a Rasalimo, and I was looking over, and he did like knight a5 on move 3 in the Rasalimo. I was like, what are you doing? But I have a kind of funny idea where I do like knight a4 in the Four Knights English. This is an interesting line. So that's probably what I would recommend for black. But well, basically you expand with like a3 and b4 and try to play for like this pawn majority. And you avoid exchanges in a position where you have more space. But anyways, I think that traditionally, now I remember Ahmes is this fan of the Palliser book on d4. So that's where he got this. Now we're piecing it together. What does Palliser say about b6? Because my impression was that, you know, yeah, you play d5, but what's wrong with knight c3? Oh, now we're back to cd, ed, bishop b4. Okay, this is just a transposition. So you're trying to like outright refute this thing. Palliser wants to play what? 3c4. I gotcha. So Palliser's only recommending e3 against the Queen's Indian. So he's actually e3 against the Queen's Indian. So we play e3 against the Queen's Indian. If we're going by the Palliser book, we're seeing c4, e6, or rather b6, e3. So what is Palliser saying about this, though? That's my question. Because this position is part of Palliser's repertoire for d4. Right? So now, is d5... My God, it's only 9 games where we play d5. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But is it just not correct? Obviously, b5 comes to mind. Mladen Vucic from 1996. I had this funny incident with Vucic in like 2003. where Mladen like met me before my game in this tournament, and he was like at breakfast, "Oh, it's okay for me draw." I was like, "Well, I don't really know. I'll think about it." And then we like got to the board, and like after like 10 moves, it's like draw. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I didn't say I definitely agreed to have a draw, and he started to freak out. So I had to just like agree to a draw. It guilted me into like a draw. But he's a good guy though. It's a funny misunderstanding. I would think that b5 would be debatable. Take. Always take. This is just a tempo up. Oh, this is bad for white. I'm black. I mean, it's a tempo up. It's not good. Alright. Tempo up, Blumenfeld. You can't do b5. So what do we got? Like a g6 type of Benoni now? But Oms, look at the statistics here. If b6 is clearly a mistake, why is there only 9 games with d5? That's very strange. There's something wrong here. People are maybe you're onto something. I mean, maybe people are misevaluating this, underestimating d5. I agree it looks normal, but I don't understand why there's only 9 games. Like almost everybody just ignored it. That's crazy. I mean, it's probably the best move. Very possibly the best move. Can we take in g6? This looks like the best try. I've even seen Magnus do stuff like this. Oh, this is my friend Emil. He had a game with Veritich. This is in 2016 in Zalakaros. But Emil was like on the fence on this game. He almost lost. Veritich is a rapid player. That seems like Black's best chance. Why would Black allow this? To create chaos. Willing to take risks, even in slightly dubious positions, to create imbalance and chaos. It's not easy to play the Benoni, man. It's not that bad. It's very interesting that this move has been played so little. 260 games with knight c3, 56 games with bishop d3, 28 games with bishop e2, and only 9 where white played d5. Concordians have to step away to take a phone call. No, we won't get to that so quickly. How much time do we have left? An hour. So, this is really interesting. I mean, the engine supports d5, but the popular vote does not. Maybe it's just psychological. People who play e3, they don't like playing d5. But like experts, like I played George Danner once, from Austria, international master in an e3 Queen's Indian, where I played like b6 too early. He immediately played d5. He was playing it all his life. He knew, that you're supposed to do that. And he was expert. Okay, so what happened? The next move is really weird. So this is just like patently bad for Black, I would say. I would think you have to try this. Take. Now, Solanski's plan, this is absolutely the right way, the only way. This is done in the Queen's Indian. Actually some of these A3 Petrosian variations, where A3 becomes like an irrelevant move, almost irrelevant move. It actually holds up b5, b4, so it has some kind of point. I mean, the Benoni exchange bishop a6. It's also relevant. So this is not that easy. This doesn't seem best. Okay. Yeah, what Black did now is just bad. Dr. Moriarty. Sherlock Holmes versus Dr. Moriarty. No. Sadvakasa beat Jan in this position. It's ridiculous. Portish against Dizdarevich from 1986. Now, no doubt that's probably... Look at these results. Like, Jozef lost against Sebastian Mays in 2005. Eingorn won with black. I mean, okay, white's advantage is not that big, but it's lasting. I don't like this for black at all. It's just a bad Benoni. I'm not sure about bishop e2. My gut reaction is like the classic kind of h3, bishop d3. Then again, like, what's the worst thing can happen? Black will play bishop g4. This is an quote-unquote old Benoni, right? Is bishop g4 even a big deal now that black doesn't even have a fianchetto? He doesn't really want to just trade his... Maybe he does. This feels a little bit passive. But e5 is like an atrocity. Given the situation, now that it's a Benoni, I think e5 is an atrocity. I would still probably try to do like a normal sort of Benoni. Whatever. I lost to a guy once who played like this. It's like the lowest rated player I ever lost to in the last like 25 years. I think I was like 2300 and I lost to a... Over 2300, my opponent was like 1800 or something. So I prefer the bishop on d3. Ironically, this guy played bishop d3 here. It's really funny. So black is just playing the check Benoni now, Acerbate, with the move b6 in. I like g4, but I think the bishop belongs here. This is the so-called Spassky setup against the check Benoni. Actually, he does that. No, you do what? Bishop d2 or bishop d3? I like bishop d3, queen e2, bishop e3, and then you think about castling queenside. But you can do whatever you want. I mean, white is just better. Are you going to manually castle? I hope my cough is a bit better. I went to the doctor today, and she didn't think it was a big deal. But I got some tests I have to take. Okay. The more I talk, the worse it gets. Probably I shouldn't talk, honestly. If I want my cough to get better, probably the best thing to do would be to, like, not stream for, like, a week. So I'm sacrificing myself for you guys. b5, this is weird. Now he should lock it all up, but he plays a6. It's like, oh my god. This is where you go a5 and you do your best Petrosian routine. Pass Pawn, thanks for 10 months of subscribing. Stretching. I don't fly often. Is this some kind of joke? All right. The most silent streams so your cough can get better. I need you just not breathe for like a week. I literally don't cough all night long, but it's just when I talk a lot, it irritates it. So a4, yeah, why not lock it up here with a5? Thanks for letting me know, Arsenal. Okay, something else to fear. Luckily, I don't fly a lot. This doesn't make any sense. Like, you've got no space and you're trying to open it up. Okay, so technically, I don't know where the king's supposed to go. But black should be playing for like g6 and f5 here. g6, knight g7, and f5. Especially with your king not really sure where it's going. I mean, I know you're threatening a5, but that's not the end of the world. Stook just subscribed. Subscribe for 6 months. I have no risk, I'm not a mother. I could be a mother for all you know. Alright. I'm like a mother. A lot of children. Just not physically. Okay, a6. I don't like this move, but it looks like naturally he was hesitant to allow a5. And I can see why. Right. But anyway, my advice, is when you get this check Benoni type situation, focus more on the king side. I go for bishop d3, bishop e3, queen e2, and then trying to like exterminate black by attacking on the king side actually. But then again, you know those type of positions. He's basically playing a kind of, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, it's a closed, almost like your closed Lopez. It's really hard to play against the check Benoni, against a good player who knows what they're doing. So here, this is just a blunder. And I guess now black's in serious trouble. I mean, losing material. So, all right. Interesting discussion. All right, guys. Thanks for supporting the stream with subscriptions. Blowbeat today with 1,000. Jim with 450. Asterbait 425. Thank you, guys. So it basically becomes a check Benoni on e5. Let's see what Lajos did. That was Lajos in 1986. I doubt Lajos Portish played g3, but even g3 is not a bad move. That's a sort of Reshevsky-like move. g3 is interesting. I bet Portish played h3. Nope, we already saw this. Okay, so Lajos just castled. Nope, I was wrong. Lajos played g3. That's interesting. That's, as I said, like a Reshevsky style move. We might learn something looking at this game quickly. Let's insert this. Whoops. Let me just, I can't insert it. Let's just go to the game. Here. Wow. Portish just played h4. Pawnda. Pawnda Portish. The Portish Pawnda.
Ha! h4, I told you guys. I told you guys.
Alright. I don't think Reshevsky would have played h4. Maybe. Exchange of white square bishops. That's good for white. I think that Portish is kind of Capablanca-like. You know, he's actually really beautiful player. Some just simple positional games just makes people look stupid. Here it's original. I mean, he's looking at 93, and yeah, I recommend the Reshevsky book, The Art of Positional Play. I would have played h5, but Lajos just played the artificial castle. Castle by hand. He's obviously calculating f5, ef, gf, knight f5, rook f5, queen g4 check. This is a carefully calculated move. Now black has no f5 counterplay. The engine wants to play f4, but Portish didn't find it. Looks like he started to hesitate here. He actually shifted sides with b4. Wow. It's amazing. And he's still better. I have a bad feeling about this for black. Protected passed pawn. Very fundamental. That's why this guy was a world championship candidate. Wow, and Dizdarevich just sacked in exchange. He was studying his Petrosian games. It would have been cool if this was like Portish against Petrosian. That would have been even more epic. Dizdarevich is just a average grandmaster. He had to be pretty young here, actually. Dizdarevich is not that old. He might be a senior now, but he was young in 1986. This is a long game, man. And lichess can grind. It's actually really hard to break through. The guy created a monster blockade, my god. This will take up the whole stream. Wow, epic battle. Eventually he just took him down. Okay. Anyway, another approach. So let's see Yabatis up next. I'd be a collector. Okay, Yabatis. Wait. Here. Alright, Yabatis is black in our favorite O'Kelly Sicilian. See if give me a minute and don't make me talk so much. Better. Alright. O'Kelly Sicilian, this is the so-called A6 variation. I wish I had $1 for everybody that went D4 when I play A6. Like, nobody knows that this isn't really a good move for white. It's automatically a good move against every other. So I don't really agree with Arsenal fan. I don't think it's a bad line for black. It's actually a good line on a sort of practical level. I think it's a good line. I would recommend playing it. Your score will be better than against most than say main lines. People don't know what to do, and it's not that bad fundamentally either. Black's score here, if you compared black's statistical, actually we can look at statistics. I mean, you play C5, knight f3. See how A6 rates. D6, 25% wins for black. Knight c6, okay, it's a 32-25, so white's better by 7. 33-24, so white's better by 9. 34-28, so white's better by 6. 36-26, so white's better by 10. A6, 36-30, white's actually better by only 6. That's actually the best score of any of the top 5 variations of the Sicilian on move 2. So it may not be a good move, but it scores better than any other move statistically. So A6, D4, C takes D4, knight takes D4, knight F6, knight C3, E5, and this is already black is equalized. Now there's a debate about what the best move is here. Knight B3, bishop B4. Never odd or even, thanks for the donation. So white played an interesting move here, bishop G5. And against this move, actually, someone on sound, good to see you. Against bishop G5, for some reason, I haven't faced this that many times. Queen c7 is interesting. That just bears down on c3. What is the move against that? Oh, I see. So queen f3. But there's some sort of trap here. Queen f3, knight e4. Oh, the rook's defended. That's such a bitch. It's defended by the knight on b3. Janis Barle. Someone would say I'm back in Boston, my old stomping grounds. So now there's like the threat of doubling the pawns on f6, like a counter doubling of pawns. I counter double your pawns. So h6 feels like a lazy move. That might actually be good. But I think we decided that we like this best. And I call this a hybrid between the Nimzo and the Najdorf. It's a Nimzo-Dorf. Or a, what else would be? A Nido. Yeah. That seems to be the best. You can try to follow Najdorf style. Well, that's different from the Dragendorf. This is you're mixing a D4 opening with an E4 opening, which is really weird. But Yabatas just went his own way. With this move, I don't quite understand. There's lateral, queen protection, but offensively it doesn't do a lot. He's attacking f2, but there's no backup for that. I guess he's threatening knight takes e. It's a fancy knight takes e4 scam. Pawnda found something interesting. Pawnda's like falling. Wake up, man. He's falling asleep. It's rude, man. So white found the best move. Takes bc. And this is the problem. Now we have trouble developing. We can't play d6. Can't play knight c6. This is why queen b6 was bad. So what do? We essentially have to waste time. Okay, h6. White could take here and it's about equal. Bishop takes, queen takes, pawn takes. A little like a Nimzo. But White played this move, which I didn't really like here. And I would argue that queen c7 is safer, keeping this protected. He played here. The queen is a little bit more exposed on c6, but it's pressurizing this. Uber Driver suggesting king e7. I mean, king e7 is a move that could happen in the future. So White played c4. Sort of, yeah, it makes sense. Cracking down on the center. Surprisingly, this is good for White. Descending, it's kind of weird. But, like, the chess engine says that White is better here, even though he's, like, down a pawn. So it looks like Black should just try to mobilize, you know, Najdorf style. Bishop here, knight d7, blockade the pawns if you can. But instead he took, and this is the game, and White's pretty good. It looks like after knight f6, Black can't play after c5, let's say. Black can't play b5, he can't play d5. He has no control over d6 and b6. And it's just hard to get the bishop into the game. Like, this can happen in the English opening where you just get, like, paralyzed. It's a positional pawn sacrifice, and a pretty good one, actually, for White. We needed to play d6. Exactly, Turkey Farm. Yeah. So that's the point. Right. But it looks like White has this, and he might be okay. Let's see. Not okay, according to the engine. So just defend the pawn. But black, I like black. Black has a good position. Here, here. It's like a queen b6 or Najdorf. A queen b6 Sicilian. We do bishop takes bc3 a lot. Reminds me of that. So here, 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 here. Bishop d3, knight f6, castles d6. That's an accomplishment. And now c5, just like a total mistake. Letting the black center get out of control. And now he really messes up. Because if white makes a kind of holding move here, like c3 or f3, maybe even his move isn't so bad. c4. Yeah, actually this is bad. You got to do a waiting move to restrict the black center. It's kind of funny though. This is very aesthetic. Here, 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 and now castles. And now white needs to restrain e4. Rook e1. Oh, we looked at rook e1, rook e8, and black is fine. Black is clearly a pawn up, and white doesn't have any compensation anymore. But it's just one pawn. Instead, he plays a ridiculous move. Oh, he undermined his center. No, look. This is just ridiculous now. Oh, you've got two passed pawns. I actually told him he should have played knight c6 now. This is not the game. So d3 here, and this pawns are monster. And I actually like this exchanging of the blockader, and actually exchanging off white's bishop pair I think is not bad. And then it's a landslide. I mean, basically. But how to eliminate those blockaders? And here Yabata's found a really good plan, knight h5. Because he's getting in there, there, or back to f5 where you're going to hit that blockader there. It's a good instructive game for beginners. And then he actually drives away that guy on the queen side with a5, a4, which was a nice idea too. This is the only try for white. And computer here found this insane move now. Black to play, it's like knight takes f4. You might be like, what? This is the best move according to Stockfish. You sacrifice a piece like really long term. Rook takes f4, a4, and then it's like knight here or something. There's a knight a5. And you got connect 4 here, but it's not going to hold. Like basically we will eliminate your defenders. The knight is going to come here and just chomp everything. So connect 4 does not hold against two connected passed pawns. Yeah, that's crazy. I know. Like he can capture twice. Like either way, not twice, but there's two different ways to capture an f4. Knight takes f4 is the best move for black. It's kind of hard to find. So naturally he retreated, and then g5. And this is actually like a minor setback, but the pawns are just too strong. And if you play a4, then you get like knight b4, knight c2. So there's no way to stop the incursion. And I didn't like this. I like knight e5 better because it's 1, 2, 3, literally 3 different threats. But knight d4 is more like just 2, 1, 2. And then the final elimination of the last of the connect 4 pieces, the rook on d2. And that's it. Kind of funny end. We're going to get a queen, a whole queen, and nothing but the queen. So Yabata, that was funny. Good game, man. Chess Testosterone. Concordians. We still have half an hour left. An Arsenal fan. That's it for the games, guys. No more time for more submissions. Okay, another Yusupov Rubinstein system. That's weird. Testosterone has been studying with alms or something. So let's see. Oh, you're black. My bad. No, you haven't. You've been studying against alms. You've been preparing for alms. d4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, e3. I like this move against the London system, actually. But here, I don't really think this move has a lot of independent significance. Rachmanov. I like that guy a lot. Not that way, Bob, but he's a really cool player. You should study. If you like Karpovian style chess, Troll on a Roll likes Russian grandmasters. You would appreciate Rachmanov. This guy is the real deal. I would bet he studied with Karpov, judging by his style. Bishop d3, castles. He's too solid to be 2700. That's his problem. It's my problem too. Too many draws. Right move 11. If it wasn't for so many draws, I would be 2700. b3, and now black played d6. Testosterone and Chestergen. He needs a little bit more testosterone with d6 already. Like, dude, are you sure you have the right name? This is like, we need some medicine. I think you need some hell energy drink with Bruce Willis. Like, d6 is a little bit like feeble, honestly. Man, super feeble. There's actually a game where this position was reached. It's the slow motion. It's never too late to play the King's Indian attack. Couple tempi down. Alright, now we got the classic mistake, so really no sense in giving up to center if we don't have to. The problem is, I guess, after Queen c2, you're going to continue to force his hand. I guess eventually he can play like knight g5. You get one of those sort of knight e4 maneuvers, which is like boring and equal-ish. This is generally a mistake to play like the exchange of pawns. So I think here white gives up a big chunk of his advantage. A recurring theme on our stream. Trading off strong point. We see it a lot. Whoops. I would give consideration to bishop f5. Bishop f5. What's the deal? A seemingly more active move. This suffers e4 fate. I wasn't sure what was going on here, but it looks like we've got everything under control. All right. I mean, so exchanging pawns on e5 is a really bad move. Turkey farm exploits it. And then white goes passive. And now we just have a good space advantage in the d3 square. He immediately goes for that. That's kind of cool. There is a tactic, knight takes e4. It's not an issue. Is this a non-issue? You have another trick? Everything is worked out in advance here. We don't just make it up at Muppet Labs. c5, winning a piece. We love you. Love you too. Love you guys, all my viewers. So, Liaz donated 1 bit. Every bit counts. Just because our opponent is a Muppet doesn't mean we're operating from Muppet Labs. Knight d3, bishop takes d3, whoops, ed, and then queen c3. Another blockading theme. Nice that this is protected. So now it feels like it's almost time for some kind of adventure with knight to g4. This is a position that like Nesbedinov would like. Here black goes on a queenside tangent. This is obviously a what is that called? What was that opening again, Merle? I mean, Uber driver. Your favorite opening, the Budapest Gambit. Where do I live again? Obviously, with A5, Turkey Farm is planning a rook transfer to the king side. Could be an idea. You got to consider this seriously. He drives the queen back to C1. One threat does not a plan make. You hear the Budapest ambulance live now. Feel like you're really here. I'm a little nervous about that pawn getting lost. We don't want to see that happen. The Turkey Farm has an original approach. Something very aesthetic and straightforward. Turkey Farm's starting to play like Alexander Alyokhin, I think. The pieces always like just jump out to their most natural squares. But there was something aesthetic about coming back and then going back out again. I mean, C5 will be an idea. Still not threatened. This move looks ugly on the surface because we kind of... What do you call it? What do you call it when you kick someone out of the country, like, permanently? What's the word I'm looking for? He's been what's the word? Exiled from the position. The Black Bishop is like the Dalai Lama. The Chinese government said he's not allowed to choose his own reincarnated being. They control everything, right? They even tell you who your reincarnated being will be. That's the way it works. Very strange. I actually posted that on my Facebook today. Anyways, a little political joke for you guys. C5, knight b5, and now knight e4. And that's looking kind of problematic for white now. I think the king side's about to cave, even without the dark square bishop. Maybe Assange is the Dalai Lama's reincarnated being. Did you ever think of that? A3. They can both be alive at the same time. How does it work? Bishop takes f3, g takes f3. Now you can't stop coughing. I'm not the only... +7 and it's a mistake. It was +14. There's just too much, like, the whole thing is just basically cut off. You just cut off. The queen side is shut out, and now it's just a win. So the technical win is like queen g5 check, and you can probably play creepy crawly attack like this. And rook a6 is coming in last. And rook a6 is going to give mate, right? I have a feeling rook a6 is kind of the idea here, but I'm not sure. We'll see. You actually lifted the wrong rook. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. How could you do that? This rook is already developed. You did rook e6. I mean, dude, you don't play the Budapest or what, Turkey Farm? You lose all points, all credit for this game for playing rook e6. The whole thing is the aesthetic nature of rook a6 and rook over here. But I mean, technically, maybe it's like less accurate because he can toss a piece onto d6. Like, actually, it's probably wrong. Like, if you really want to be technical about it, rook a6 allows him to block. See, even the engine points it out. This is seriously less accurate because he can go here. So technically, Turkey Farm isn't wrong. Rook e6. Sad though. Like all this game, I thought rook a6 was gonna come in, and it really didn't have a chance to play. The threat was stronger than the execution. Oh, you double question mark move here? Apparently this is double question mark, rook h6. What a horrible move. White has bishop e5, and instead he resigned. Why play a good move when you can resign, right guys? It was hard to see rook g6 though. Harder. You just forgot about bishop e5. My god, this saves White's game. That's like the 22 blunder game I played against you. So there's no defense for White after this. You're just threatening to go here. And you're also threatening this. You know, that's not a joke either. Actually, queen f2 is a threat in this position. So you have like your choice of devastating moves. Any number. Probably any number of those. There's no way White can defend against all three. Okay guys, thanks. That was a cool game. Concordians. Rounding out the subscriber submissions, and then we'll try to get to Arsenal. Okay, Concordian's playing black. He's rated 1,000, so he doesn't want us to feel like he's too low rated. He doesn't want to bog us down, but I really appreciate doing some of the low rated games. It can be instructive. There's a lot of people around your rating, Concordians, who can benefit from this. We don't have to all be like 1,800. I mean, the fact of the matter is stronger players kind of gravitate toward my stream because I'm not talking about just bullet chess, but the reality is that most chess players are not, you know, above 1,600. So it's interesting to see a perspective of a player who's like around 1,100. E4, c6, bishop c4. This is a move that's played jokingly by even strong players like Carlsen. But they know that it's not really correct. They're just playing this for fun. The so-called hillbilly attack, popularized by Jack Young. D5, ED5, and this is a big mistake. So I had a game yesterday against someone, I think Marois. By the way, guys, Marois got to play Vacher Legrave in a Blitz tournament. I thought that was really cool. He showed me the game, and he actually lost kind of badly. But I think it's really awesome that he got the chance to play against like the best player in France. So congratulations to him for that. All right, Concordians is back. Perfect timing. Carlsen does play this. But the important thing is that White plays bishop b3, and then you're supposed to take the pawn on e4. It's not correct. It's a gambit style play. A gambit style line for White. Yeah. Asterbay, thanks for the donation. Yeah, it takes in queen h5. I don't know, you know. It's probably slightly better for black. But I think these guys are playing it in faster games. I'm not sure that Carlsen, where he played Tomaszewski, he might have one-off played it in a long game, but for the most part, it's fun. You know, they know that it's not really that correct for White. Yesterday I had a game with Marois where I did this, just to stay out of theory, even though I know this is not as good a move. And I played here. And we had a really, really weird French. And I never play the French. This is why I brought up Marois, because we had the same game, d4, e6, like this Andrei Sokolov game here. I played for c5. I got a reasonable French. There was something really weird about White had trouble like sorting out his queen side with the bishop on b3 in this classical sort of structure. So it worked out okay for me. You see that Andrei Sokolov played this. Not a bad player. Former candidate for the World Championship. But this is a concrete mistake. No, Uber driver. I mean, that's I crossed my mind, but it doesn't seem like it's really a big deal. You can do that. It's a pawn. I mean, the most important thing is that our bishop can get out one way or another. You know, we'll make it happen. But yeah, Super Driver, it is possible. Speculative pawn sacrifice. Acerbate in the lead with 1,005 bits. He snuck it in there. He snuck in a 60 to get the lead, actually. So Acerbate is leading ahead of Blobby for the bit lead for the week. This classic pawn sacrifice is possible. Anyway, I think that it's correct to take, but you have to know what you're doing. It's kind of tricky. But this is a big mistake, okay? Fundamentally, what Concordian's opponent does here, you're trading off your strong point on e4 without any good reason. Now, this is just good for black. Now the game is more or less equal. You can play either bishop d7 or knight c6 here. And now white just essentially wasted a move. Now, I think e5 is okay. But it's also, you know, maybe like a bit riskier than playing like knight c6 or something. But then again, you're playing like for a win. You're black. Okay, I like e5. You could also safely play knight c6. Obviously, white can play d4. The game is more or less equal. So Concordian's principled. e5. Be careful that you're not overextending yourself. I think it's justified here. This move is very slow. This move is bad. e5 was okay. I think e4. The engine doesn't think it's that bad. I think it's kind of bad. That's amazing. Chess Engine at first like e4 #1 move. I'm definitely voting for development. You know, I think this is kind of slightly overextending yourself. I'm surprised it's even in Stockfish's top 2 choices. 5 bits. Globy says 5 bits. Usually they surpass you by 1. So Acerbate is being really generous. Most people are really cheap and they only go over the top by 1, like it's The Price is Right or something. e4, they want to give you less room to maneuver. So interesting. You know, I think it's hard to maintain that pawn. I would just say you should develop your pieces. Forget about trying to play e4. Now he chips away at your center. The engine thinks this is a question mark. It kind of seems logical to support your pawn. So now you blundered. It's simply a blunder. I mean, your pawn is just hanging on d5. You have to recapture it this way. Just in general, I would say you're moving your pawns too much. And it started with e4. e5 was risky. e4 was riskier. And now you just lost a pawn. So too many pawn moves. Okay? Now you lost a pawn. He didn't take it. He made like the worst move in the world. Basically, weakening his king side. And you have a crushing check there. But I mean, okay, that doesn't necessarily have a follow-up. We have queen h4 check, king f1, f1, bishop c5. And now he literally has to play queen e1. My instinct here would be to not trade queens. Because he's so much paralyzed with his king now misplaced. So something like here. And just continue. Or queen here. Or queen f6 actually. Alright, you missed that check. You played this check. This check doesn't do as much. It's still, you still got this. You got this. But you missed queen h4. That would seriously cause permanent damage. Just recapture. Now you finally found it. Better late than never. And that's a crushing move. Now white is basically lost if black follows up correctly. He should try to bring his king over here to try to hide out on c2. He has that now, but he misses it. I mean, this looks like almost a safe haven on the queen side. But here you just need to bring out more forces. I mean, clearly this is a strong move. Threatening mate on f2. Again, you got a variation like that. But now you just win a piece. Check. He's going to have to interpose on f3 and lose a whole piece. Queen e1. Queen f6 check. Okay, so queen g3. A little bit wasted time, and you're not bringing out your pieces. Now you bring out your pieces, you protect your pawn. You missed bishop b6. Now he practically forced you to play bishop b6. Your move isn't quite as strong. Couldn't you castle here? Actually, you haven't moved your king, right? Rather than play rook f8, I would prefer to castle. Get the king out of the center. Now bishop b6. Now it's good. This is as good as anything. I mean, obviously knight g4 check is very strong. This is annihilation now. And mate. The biggest thing that strikes me in this game, Concordians, was the kind of careless early play with a lot of pawn moves. I think, you know, you got yourself in trouble. You kind of overextended your pawns overly ambitiously when you need to be focusing on getting all your pieces out, as they said, as Past Pawn said to the party. Control the center, get the pieces developed, and get the king to a safe place. You kind of neglected piece development and king safety. Luckily, your opponent was even worse as far as those things. Okay. And almost time to finish, guys. Arsenal, former subscriber. Potential review. I suddenly started getting like an allergy or something again. All right. Maybe there's more to this cold. I think it's like a combination of maybe my coughing is actually allergic in nature. They did a blood test today to see if it's actually allergies. All right. Tim Joyce versus Richard. English opening. Now it's the Caro-Kann. No, it's still the Slav. I'm getting tired, losing focus. So Muleskinner, what? Concordians donated 1,010 bits for the review and kind feedback from the comrades. Taking out Acerbate. You got 3 very generous people today. Blobby, Acerbate, and at last Concordians. I want to thank all 3 of you guys for being here, and Blobby, of course, the newest, but all 3 of you, Acerbate for the long time being a supporter of the stream, working with Acerbate and Concordians. You guys are great. And by the way, Muleskinner scored 5 out of 6 and then number 9 out of 50 players in the tournament he played in. But I will say, Muleskinner, I've noticed an improvement in your game. It seems to me, and maybe just my imagination, but it seems to me you've gotten tougher lately. Like you're just playing stronger. You were always like decent and not an easy game. But I will note that lately you seem like you've been stronger. Yeah, this is a thing that I never liked. I don't really understand fianchettoing in exchange Slav. It looks like it's a dead diagonal. Because black can just play e6. Perhaps some sort of inaccuracy by black. I mean, this is a typical square. I can understand Arsenal fan wanting to get his bishop outside the pawn chain. He should play knight c6 first. The classical advice applies, Arsenal fan. Knights before bishops. This is very standard. although this is a closed position, let me just put it this way. You don't really know for 100% where your bishop's going to go. I mean, it could go to g4, it could go to f5, but the knight is always going to go to c6. So I think that that's a good move here. Like, just kind of an easy way to kind of think of it. You know, your knight is always going to c6. Your bishop isn't necessarily going to f5. That should be played first, and I think you're good. Then you can play like bishop f5, I think more easily next move. There's some inaccuracy about bishop f5 with maybe queen b3. But I think once you have knight c6 in, it probably loses all. He loses all these like cheapo sort of counterattack things. So technically this is some sort of try for white. There may be an interesting pawn sacrifice here. Queen c8. If they try to take this, it's like development. The wonderful world of development. You know, probably black has serious chances here. So black didn't even take that pawn. This may not be that bad for black. All right. You got more or less to kind of a normal-ish position. See here, there's a game Mackenzie Molnar against Rodney Perez. Both decent players. Looks like a pretty standard sort of happening. Then this move. I guess he wants to play b4 at some point. Maybe not a bad move. b4 seems a little early. Okay. You got to think about where to put this bishop, because you might be liable to get hit by some sort of e4 tricks. Sometimes it's safer to put the bishop on e7 in this type of structure. On the other hand, like, you might need a place to put your queen. Jim just donated 650 bits. Wow. Where did that come from? Thank you, Jim. He crossed the 1,000 barrier. He crossed into the lead, actually. Wow. We got a real bit war. 1,100 for Jim as we wrap up the stream for tonight. Thank you, Jim, for being a long-term supporter of the stream. Out of nowhere. No, he wanted to get the lead. Normally, Jim isn't that trying to dominate the bit war. Hey, thank you, Jim. Thanks for being our bit leader, the table captain for the week. All right. Maybe not, Pawnda. It may be too early to say. What was that I just saw? All right. So you got to think about these things with the placement of the pieces. Bishop e7 seems more passive, but it gives your queen a square. I mean, bishop d6 is less passive, but you got to be careful about e4. Sort of tricks against like the bishop on d6 sometimes. Neil Skinner subscribed for 20 months, and I think he's about to cross the 200 game barrier in 2 games. He'll be like only the second player to have 200 games against me on my stream. So that's insane. Thank you, Neil Skinner. Now Arsenal fan played e5. This seems inconsistent. While it might not be a bad move, I doubt it's the best move. I think that Arsenal at this point, you've declared your pawn structure, so you should probably stick to your guns. And this is not really a direct threat. So let's just play the London system. h6, bishop h7, be willing to drop back. Yes, eventually you might have to play e5. On the other hand, maybe it's not such a bad move. White probably has some tricks with e4 later. It may not be that bad. Up for the game against Napoli. Uh-oh. Talking football. Now a6. Uh-oh. Hold on. We missed something. Okay, so e5 works because what happens on b5, queen a5 check, knight c3, d4. Total chaos ensues. Okay, so here, now it looks like b5 is a threat. But white and black missed the boat because white had b5 now. I think this just wins a pawn. That looks bad. Arsenal missed it. I mean, this looks actually like you could lose a piece now. Maybe you don't, maybe some, but this doesn't look right. I think you should just have played a6 first, like you did in the game. You're just overlooking b5. The computer says it's okay. What's the deal? Oh, there's some sort of other trick. Wow, you have this by coincidence. An amazing racehorse. An amazing racehorse. Queen b6. Little did we know. Okay. Chess with Chris found it. I did not. Alright, knight on bd2. I knew e4 wasn't good enough. Now rook e1. Obviously ready to play e4. So I think at this point, you know, it's just like h6 or rook e8 or some kind of fundamental move. This looks like a kind of strange place for the queen. Because I'm afraid when he carves out e4, he's going to end up with like knight c4. As I said earlier, now I don't know where to put your queen. I mean, in the case of an exchange on e4, you can probably put it here. You can probably put it on d7. You might want to wait and just make a useful move like rook e8, I think. That would be your best bet here. Wait and see what happens. The center is going to clarify when he plays e4. So queen b6 was kind of weird. And that was the problem. He had the knight c4. But now you're just flat losing a piece, right? Only a bishop b6. Okay, that saves you. So he missed the in-between move. And he goes for this minimalist. This looks like a blitz game where I was white or something. I missed winning a piece. I play in the second best move. That's a good exchange for him. Knight g4. Yeah, no. Black's active now. What's the problem? I don't see the problem. Stockfish says it's good for white. Looks okay. At the end of the day, we have some weird problem with knight b3, knight e6, and knight b3, knight f3. So white ends up with structural advantage. That's about it. Survivable, maybe. Well, that was kind of cool move. I keep forgetting this is an over-the-board game and not an online game. I'm like, oh well, the quality seems so good, but of course it's like a over-the-board game. They have more time. Apparently a knight f2, and now this or something. That's just that's just evil. Evil Knievel. Apparently that's not good. You have to exchange first and then play bishop a7. Okay. It's been a long stream. At the end of the day, I don't know. I mean, you've rook against two pieces, but you might be able to go maraud his queen side. Kind of hard to say. I guess you were never actually better. You had interesting counter chances. This is too passive. You know, but the interesting thing about ops-colored bishops is that all that matters is who has the initiative. Material doesn't matter as much. Structural niceties may not matter. The important thing when ops-colored bishops are on the board is who has the more active bishop and who's attacking. But now you're running out of pieces. You're going to pick this off. He has knight takes. But see, you got active play on the dark squares. So this is the best your position got on the graph, except for like move 5. Your activity on the dark squares, where he's weak on f2. And these pawns also. This is good. This is good. And now what? Mistake? So you tried to play actively. I mean, this is what I would play in a blitz game, but apparently it doesn't work. So at the end of the day, the structural part of it sort of took hold, and you had to defend. Yeah, it's sad. When you play obstacle or bishops, as I said, you should really be trying to take the initiative. I mean, it looks like you have queen a1 check. He's going to come down and take everything. Like another simul game we saw recently. So you have to just defend. It's pretty sad. That would be a kind of unpleasant groveling for a draw. And Arsenal didn't want to do it. So he played actively, but it's just like he's lost almost. There's this and this. He missed his golden opportunity with knight takes f2 earlier. That was really the key line. This was interesting, but I guess you weren't sure naturally. Is there a better move? The bishop a7? There's nothing else to do, right? So here, I had a game with Bisgeier where I won, where I had rook against 2 pieces. I just ate his queen side. But I mean, this type of thing, okay, if white is a grandmaster, you know, he might have some slight chance to win, but most people would have trouble, like, even not losing their pawns here. Okay, it doesn't look like you were ever winning. You had that chance. You can hold at the end. Sadly, you were never really better. And then this is like a loss of concentration, I would say. Thanks for sharing, Arsenal. Sorry about the result, but I think you had your chances there. You know, probably you're just not playing enough. I think when you're in form, and you're playing really well in blitz lately, you know, maybe you need to play more slow games. I know it's not easy to get time to play slow games, because I don't have enough time to play slow games. But I mean, judging by your blitz play, you can play really well when you're in the zone, you know, so it may just be that the time control kind of too slow. Blobby, thank you for the donation. Blobby goes in the lead with 1,200. Jim in second with 1,100. Concordians with 1,010. Acerbate back in fourth place with 1,007. You guys are awesome. Lots of donations today. Thanks for supporting the stream. What starts in 5 minutes? Sladgie fan tournament. Nice, from Mule Skinner. Guys, click the link for the Sladgie fan tournament, starting in 5 minutes. Third place with 1,000+ bits. Not easy, right? That's the way it should be. So tomorrow if I can still breathe, we're streaming again Friday at 10 a.m. 2-hour stream in challenges for everybody. You know, open challenges to established accounts here on lichess and Twitch. Friday, 10 a.m. CEST. I'll see you guys there. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for subscribing again, someone on sound. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye, guys. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Later.